Yeah, you got it. Okay. Yeah, I'm grabbing pictures. Not your email, I don't think we're at anything.
Yeah.
No sound.
I believe you. Right, hey, I wanted to work out so much, I was like, no, I'm getting cute. And I'm only wearing that.
That was such a joke come from.
Because right, girl.
How'd she do that? She's one of my.
Oh, she did very well.
Had anxiety about it too, which I'm probably.
She did really well.
That's good. I'll tell her that. No, there were rave reviews.
I think it's awesome that one of the day. Training, like, you gotta get out there and speak. You know, do it.
Could it be any? Yeah.
Right?
It just shows. I already got it.
Wow, I just feel like.
Yeah, I can't. Very little. There's not much to do.
Right.
I don't know. Oh, you were great. I just tweeted it. It's so dark. I feel. I'm grateful that we share space. Like, wait. I forgot. That they had it was the first time that I've gone to it.
One time, like back in October or something, and I never, and then I came back and I now trying to remember what to do. Like, this week, I don't know why they.
Yes, I know.
How did you mail to on there?
It's been really good, really cool.
I'm just didn't care. Really weird.
Going up.
Right, I honestly, I was just next month is just where I can next week to read on trying things and looking to
John Ball. Angela.
well, that would be a little nice stuff with the writers group and yeah, is about even than what I would have even imagined. So
There's some really great book club groups.
Yeah.
yes, okay.
It used to be a good day, but what's going on?
You a teacher?
At South. Are you living in that?
Yeah.
South Park.
Yeah, but for that, I lived in. Yeah, for that, I'm. Okay. Yes, but I've been, and only like the last one. For a while.
My mother had me.
Then, do you hate it or what genre?
I've been there.
You know, so it's commercial, this go, you don't know, you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, the Oreos like that.
Bring the whole thing. Okay. It is, I think that, well, I do there's a lot of, there's always a lot of truth or real underpinning. Okay, good. I didn't. I know.
You know,
Right. Well, I'm a car experience really serious, so we. Some. For outside experience. I would like to, like, you know what I mean? Well, I really like, relations. Right now, then, an area that I go in, he's writing about, making like, smaller articles. So. I think at it on a personal side, but like coaching or helping out. No emotion, right? Articles.
Say so much, my
I like
ex-mother
to-
lives like literally in the same street, but across 6 acres.
Right,
You can almost see her.
No, I don't. Around that, kind of like, okay, maybe start there. I'm always to figure it out.
No, my phone's off, it's really error, and then you fail people. Look at that.
How could
It's like at the little channel point on.
Yeah. Never carry a bag like this around is driving me crazy.
All right, welcome to the Active State Writing Summit. I hope you really enjoyed the sessions that you've been to so far. My name is Dr. Patricia Elmore, I'm a professor here at Active State College of Education. Any teachers in the room? My people, I was an English middle school teacher before I became a professor. Sometimes I still feel like I'm a middle school teacher. But this, more importantly, is Miss Georgina Cross. She is the author of One Night and Nanny Needed, as well as the Amazon bestseller, The Stepdaughter. Her other titles include My Perfect Husband, we got famous, The Missing Woman, and The Niece. The Stepdaughter and Nanny Needed have been optioned by Netflix. Wow. Georgina is a member of both International Thriller Writers and Mystery Writers of America. You should have come to my crime fiction class last year. I love that. She is married. I will. Okay. She is married to David, and together they enjoy time with their blended family and four sons.
A lot of ESPN.
A lot of ESPN.
Yay, okay, well, thank you. And has everybody signed the sign-in? Okay, cause Kim, who's in charge of this whole, 2-day event, was like, make sure they sign it. Okay. I'm Georgina, as Patricia said, and I just want to shout out to my word writing group. There's a bunch of y'all in here. So exciting. If you are not aware of the word writing group, I'm assuming most of you are local-ish to this area because you drove in here. Anyway, I lead a writing group every month on the second Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. It's the Madison Library location, so hopefully that's convenient enough location. It's a free class. So come if you want. We're big on accountability, so I like to get status updates, figure out what everybody's doing, if they've been writing. There's a lot of, I think, camaraderie that's building in the group too, as you can see. They're here. Most of us have been meeting since August. We'll continue to keep meeting and learning from each other. I think some of the group, yes, and repeating the day. The second Tuesday of every month, 6 p.m. at the Madison Library location. And go ahead and do this. So email me if you want to be added to the list. There's a few members. Okay, we have more than 70 people on the email list, which is wonderful. And I'm really hoping a lot of them are here also, but I get it. Work. Even if you cannot make the meetings, I send out information probably once or twice, 3 times a month. Particularly, I send out information about this event, so I wanted to share that. I'll send out tips every once in a while, but just go ahead and shoot me an email. I am at Georgina, Georgina, Cross, CROSS, author @gmail.com. And I'll go ahead and add you to the list, and then you can get reminders. July 10th is the next meeting, if you want to come. And it's free. Okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
Can you Zoom the class? Can you Zoom?
I haven't started that yet.
I've thought about it. And honestly, I want to see how today goes too. There's this pull in my life I'm feeling toward teaching and maybe leading more of these in the future. And so if I am an in-person person, like I feed off of, which is insane that I write because as y'all know, very lonely, solitary endeavor. And I worked in corporate America for 20 plus years. So to all of a sudden be alone in my house with 4 boys who do not want to talk to me anyway. My husband's been pulling for a year, so we don't talk until he gets home. And then I would like to start teaching. I feed off of in-person Zoom. I think my
You could
corporate.
bring the class to my house.
I know, yeah, maybe I join.
Well,
Are you been from Montgomery?
yes.
Sweet, you too? Awesome, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I want to see how today goes and I may take this on the road.
build out this session
Like a minute.
longer. Okay, okay, cool deal.
Bobby.
Okay.
I'm
Get it out.
Yeah, I know Georgina Davis personally, if you will need authors in that area to do something like this.
Okay, awesome. Okay, shoot me an email.
Right now.
Awesome. Yeah, cause this is what I could fit into an hour, but I would like to maybe elongate it, especially based on your questions today. I'm doing slides, but please ask me questions. This is not a, ask me at the end. I want y'all to ask me as we go. Okay, clearly we are at the Athens Writing Summit. Welcome. First big step is being here. I mean, first big step is being here. I say this often. The reason I started the word writing group was I was lonely being at home all day with just fictional characters in my head and writing my book. But B, and I'll be very candid, I was really tired of running into friends, folks that said, you write, I want to write too. And I'd be like, amazing. What are you working on? They tell me, I'm starting it. Great. And I'd see them a year later. Hey, how's that book coming? And they're like, and I get it. I've done all the excuses and they are excuses. Right? Let's just be really honest with ourselves. Some of them are incredibly valid reasons and excuses. You're working full time, you have children to care for, you have parents to care for, you're working more than one job. I get it. I hear you. I worked 20 plus years. And the way I got my books written was writing on the weekend. So I work 7 days a week, and that's sometimes what it takes. And you hear of authors getting up at 5 a.m. I am not a morning person, so I will not do that, but I will write every Saturday and Sunday, and I still do. Even though I don't have to work the other full-time job anymore, I write full-time. I'm now in the habit of working 7 days a week. It is a discipline. It is a discipline. Okay, so that dovetails nicely into my first piece of advice, which okay, writing the manuscript. First task, finish the book. I mean, y'all, I honestly thought about just ending the presentation here. Right? I mean, first step is saying, I want to work on a project, whether it is a book, whether it's a short story, whether it's a poem, whether you're a songwriter, whatever it is, a memoir, personal essays, whatever it is you're trying to do. That is the first step, is saying, I want to carve out time to myself and I want to actually dedicate time to myself to do this. Okay, and I've told the word group a bajillion times. Katie, I talked to her the other day, she's like, oh my God, for 8 months, all you talked about was time blocking. Do y'all know the term time blocking? Okay, a lot of us, when we work in, say, an office job, anything you do really, you put into your planner, your calendar, whether it's on your phone or on a paper planner, you'll put doctor's appointment 3 to 4. You'll put meeting 10 to 11. Why aren't you doing that for your writing? Because I think a lot of you are treating it like a hobby because you're a little timid. I get that. You don't know where this is going. And this could stay a hobby. My dad wrote a book. He's written 3 about his growing up in England, being a ship captain, meeting my mom in Hong Kong. He's written 3. We've had it self-published only for us to read. It's just for us. He doesn't want anybody else to read it. I don't even think his sister read it. It's literally just my sister and I. And I learned about a lot of girlfriends in Hong Kong from my mom. So I was like, man. Wasn't pleased about that, but I was like, I mean, come on, he's a ship captain in his 20s, and he had red hair in England. He was having a grand time. So anyway, but my point is, like, why wouldn't you put into your planner Saturday 10 to 11? I'm writing. Why wouldn't you put into your planner 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. whatever it is? I'm writing. Sunday night, Tuesday night, whatever works for you. Why wouldn't you do that? Like. That time is precious. Make that time for yourself. Tell people not to call you. I could go on and on about time blocking, but I don't want to kill the word group because they've heard it literally for 8, 9, 10 months. Maybe when I do the longer session, I'll get into that more because there is such a discipline to treating it like a job, right? And then dedicating that time to yourself and protect that time. That's another important word. Protect that time. That is your writing time. Okay, so finish the book. Back to that. That is the hardest part. And I'm going to say book. Are most of y'all working on a book? Raise your hand. Please. Anybody doing short story? Anybody doing like essays that could become a, okay? Anybody poetry? Sweet. Anybody writing nonfiction? Awesome. What? Okay, like,
I wrap it in folklore and myth.
oh, no, that's, okay, interesting. So, okay, I think most of you were fiction. Most of you are writing a book, is what I'm hearing. Okay, okay. That is the hardest part. So coming here to telling yourself you want to write the book is step one. Carving out that time is step two. Being here, huge step three. And now step four is, I mean, you got to finish the dang book. And I hesitate to go to the rest of the slides because I remember what it was like in the beginning. And it is intimidating and it can also be distracting to think about all the steps that are coming down the pipe when you haven't even finished the book. And I remember when I first started off, I signed up for a marketing online class, spent over $300, and I hadn't even finished the book because I was thinking, I'm a very I live in the tomorrow, so I'm always planning ahead. How many of you are like that? Like we drive ourselves crazy. We're constantly thinking down the pipe, right? It was a waste of damn money and it was a distraction. I couldn't even tell you, it was so long ago, I couldn't even tell you the stuff I learned. But I did read about things, right? I would like keep my eyes and ears open. I wanted to be aware. You don't want to go into this completely tunnel visioned and blind. You do want to finish the book. So there's a delicate line, and I want to be really clear with you guys that this is the most important slide of anything I'm going to talk about today. The rest I want you to be aware of, because if you are wanting to take this writing passion of yours into a side hustle, because it can make you some money. If you want to turn into more of a side hustle, because that's a potential too, then I want you to be aware of what's coming down the pipe. Does that make sense? But do not get bogged into it until you have finished the book. Okay. Okay. Second task. I forget that this is recorded. So I'd like to speak off the cuff. So God help you all who it's later. I'm supposed to be professional. It's recorded. Okay. Second task. I tell the word writing group this every month. In fact, oftentimes we leave the meeting with, what have y'all been reading? Okay. Read as much as you can. Read as much as you write. It's so important. This is a way to inspire you. This is a way for you to learn from other authors. This is a way for you to learn their prose, their style, especially if they're writing in a genre that you are wanting to write or that you are writing. Learn from other people. That's how we all learn. That's how I continue to learn. I read every single night. It is my time when kids don't want me anyway, unless food. And so I can just go to my room and I turn on my oscillating fan and I drown out the noise of the house and I'm in my jam and I can read, I don't know, several chapters every single night. So I really encourage, if that's not possible for you, I do encourage you to read as much as you can. Authors, the more I've gotten into this industry, authors are incredibly supportive people because the more we promote each other's books, the more that those people will learn about those books, and then they might read our books, and then that author turns around and promotes your books. We are like this, I don't know, self-feeding ecosystem, and we buy a ton of books. We're probably one of the biggest audiences and market of books. So we also like, for the economy of actual book selling. I just got back from a conference in New York. Sunday night I got back. It was Thriller Fest. So I'm a suspense author. So it was all thriller suspense authors. John Grisham was there. Hey, my God. He was amazing. James Patterson was there. They usually get big, I know. They usually get big people, but this year was like huge. John and James, like I know them. They only came for like that afternoon. They came for what they had to do. And then they were like, and we're gone. They didn't even do a book signing. Like the rest of us had our presentations and then we were shuffled to a room where we would sign books through. They were like, no, we've already pre-signed. But you go to these events and you're meeting all these people and you think they're competition. They're not. Because we're all like, oh my God, you have this book coming out and then you have this book coming out next year. Who are you signed with? And can I promote you? Can I blurb you? It's wonderful. So when you get into that world, which I'm hoping
big percentage of you one day will be, you'll be in that ecosystem. It doesn't feel as alone. Okay, so back to read other books. We talked about it, you know, get inspiration, learn more about the genre you're writing, learn about the themes that author is really trying to portray in the book. Learn why it is that you've enjoyed that book versus one that you haven't. I absolutely will admit that there are books I do not finish. I'm not one of those people that has to finish a book or I feel like I've cheated the author or I'm just like not a good person. That is ridiculous. Because I know some people are like, I have to, if I don't like it, I put it down. But that is a learning, that is something to learn from. Like, why did you put it down? Okay.
It's boring. Then.
Yeah, if it was boring, learn from that. Like, what can you make, how can you make your story maybe more intriguing, more interesting, so you don't have somebody dropping your work down the road. So I want to talk, you know, reading other books. Obviously, there's a library. You want to always give a shout out to the library. Do y'all have the Libby app? Libby? Yeah, Libby app. So download the Libby app. You get free books. The most popular ones are on a waiting list sometimes for like 6 months, but you will eventually get the book and then you can check it out, read it on your phone. It's a great way. I get a ton of books off of Libby. I'm also one of those people, yes, I buy a ton of books, but it is an expensive hobby.
It's free audiobooks too on Libby.
Thank you, Meryl. Yeah, it's free audiobooks too. My husband does everything is audio, like the 30-hour fantasy, you know, part 9 of book, whatever. So, it is an expensive hobby. I am never afraid to say that yes, I love to buy lots of books, but I cannot afford to do it all the time. And so free books, library, utilize the Libby app. NetGalley, is anybody familiar with NetGalley? I have a question.
Well, I was just gonna say thrift stores, especially like America's Thrift.
Yeah.
Or for some.
Totally. The library usually has the big book sale.
Unclaimed baggage.
Unclaimed
You're gonna
baggage.
get all the bestsellers.
We live here, y'all. Like, let's utilize where everybody's stuff goes to die. Yeah, there's tons of books. It's part of your homework. I mean, if you want to be an author, reading is your homework, just as much as you writing. So NetGalley, for those who aren't familiar, you can create an account. What NetGalley asks is that when you have to request a book. Not everybody gets the books, but there's tons of books listed. You can request a book, and if you're approved, you get an email, you get to download it and read it. What NetGalley requests, though, is that you write a review within a certain amount of time. And I have heard from readers and bloggers too, who like get their list gets out of control, and then NetGalley will block them temporarily to be like, you're just freeloading, and you know there are 30 books piled in your list that you haven't reviewed yet. Even as an author, I think I get a little bit of a pass because my list has gotten, so I need to go through there and review. But NetGalley is one of those places for authors that when our book is coming out, usually and you guys will get to this point too, usually your uncorrected proof, your advanced reader copy, you'll hear art being said, your art will be posted to NetGalley, and that's where it gives the publisher an indication of just how well the book might be doing, marketing wise, the cover, people responding, are there mistakes? And yes, there are always going to be mistakes at that stage. That gives them time to fix it, and early reviews come in. So it's really important for authors, but also for y'all to be reading free stuff. And then book clubs, borrow from friends, bookstores, book of the month. Anybody member of book of the month? Yeah. No? I know Sarah is. Okay, so Sarah Crouch, local author, she's giving a presentation at 3:30, correct? Yes. On how to write a bestseller, because Sarah Crouch has written a bestseller. She wrote Middle Tide, if any of you have read it. First book, y'all, book of the month pick for May of last year. Huge.
She'll be good this year.
Yep, and Sarah will be presenting the shrimp. So come learn from Sarah, because she's going to talk more about the craft of writing. She's a literary suspense author. Book of the month is a monthly subscription. For $19, I think you get a pick of a hardcover, which I always love because I'm like, I love hardcovers. Then I, just download free book. Okay. Third task. So as you're writing, as you're struggling to write, as you're reading in the evening, reading in the afternoons, whatever, then you're going to go into the edit the book stage. This is such a basic thing. I felt like I needed to put it on there. Please save files as you go. Do not overwrite your files because stuff happens, systems crash. I just save my file as the day of. Even the day of version 3, if that's what's necessary. Make sure you back it up. So I'm like really superstitious, maybe because I've gotten the blue screen of death a couple of times in my old job, but I will then email that file to myself to Gmail, which has a huge storage. I also then save it to Dropbox and I save it to Google Drive. I am neurotic. But here's the thing, if even that 1 day of work gets erased, it is painful. And I just do not want that to happen. So please, very basic. Most of you are probably doing that anyway. Obviously, you're gonna edit the book, you're gonna go through with grammar. So this is when you've written the first pass, right? So a lot of you are going to belabor the draft like I do and work on it as if it is the final masterpiece. And it will take you maybe a year. I've gotten to the point where it takes me 4 to 5, 6 months, but it feels painful. And I write painfully every day. And then I go back and edit what I've written the day before and then start again. And this is me writing full time 7 days a week. So I have that luxury now to do that. But I get it, for a lot of you, it's taking you more than a year or two. Here's an alternative. Treat it as the first dirty pass. Like there's that terminology out there, fast drafted is another way to write it. To describe it. I've heard of people who have a story in their head, they might outline it, they might plot it, and then they do a fast draft. So they're literally like, she went to the supermarket and then this happened, she's thinking about her marriage. They're not even full sentences, but they're just getting through, and then they're like, oh, that was chapter 1. Okay, chapter 2. And then they can really, really start to work on it more and fill in the spaces later. That might be a way to get you to the end. That doesn't feel as painful and can also troubleshoot you to where you know where the story is going. Then, they talk a lot about when you're writing a book, it's often like driving a car at night. You can only see as far as your headlights will shine, right? But eventually you're going to get there. And that's really what it is. Unless you're a serious heavy plotter and you've planned your chapters out to nauseam and you've edited and reworked those plot points over and over again, and you have a really concise idea of where your book is going, most of us are driving a little blind. And even if we plot, we can still change the story. Like you can still meander, and that's the beauty of writing. These characters will pop up. Characters might go away. I went back and edited my book the second time and got rid basically of an entire character. I've done that several times. She just wasn't adding enough to the story. Don't be precious with your words. Don't be precious with your characters. If it's not fitting, cut it. And I did have to cut. This manuscript got way too long, so I had to cut. But anyway, okay. A lot of you are probably using Microsoft Word. Is anybody using Scrivener? I know a lot of fantasy authors use Scrivener. It's super helpful for those of you that are writing like long series. You can keep track. Scrivener lets you like literally move entire sections of books better. It's a paid service. So just a heads up, if any of you wanted to ever use Scrivener, I just use good old MS Word. Sarah, MS, yeah. And these days, MS Word has, I'm sure you've seen, it will underline and highlight everything you've ever misspelled. I know. And Copilot, have y'all run into
I
Copilot?
hate Copilot. It's not telling me what my sentence is going to end at all.
There is a setting, I had to Google it, but there's a setting to just get rid of Copilot.
Yup.
You get rid of it because that bouncy bounce, just seeing it at the bottom, just it irritates me. And also I'm like, I've tried it a couple times just out of curiosity. And yeah, I rewrote my entire paragraph, but it just felt a little sterile. There was no voice. Like we want to read your stuff because it's your voice. We don't want to read your stuff because it's a bunch of sentences that some machine learning thought would sound good. And some of them do sound really good and could help get you to that place where you need to be. But we read a work because of that person's voice. So try not to lose that if you are to use something like ChatGPT or even Copilot. There's also services called Grammarly or Per Writing Aid. Is anybody using their paid services? I'm going to put green dollar signs next to anything that's a paid service. And if you use things, Meredith, does somebody have their hand?
I use Grammarly.
Okay, yeah, and a lot of people use Grammarly for emails too. Like I dread our kids going into the corporate world that have to write emails with full sentences. because I see how they text and Snapchat, and I'm sure y'all do too, and it is horrendous. And I'm like, is this how their emails are gonna be? I'm hoping for the happy medium, because I think our generation will like, for my last email, I think all that's gonna go away, right? I think this younger generation is gonna get right to the point, but dear God, please let them use punctuation and be polite. My Bama kid is working at a law firm, and he said, Mom, I've never been on email so much. I said, get ready for career. Like, you're gonna be on email for the rest of your life. I hate that for you. I'm so sorry, but I don't see it going away. And I would just, I want to ask the law firm, what are his, like, what do they sound like? If anything, he's gonna learn, because I'm sure they'll fire back and be like, that was horrible. Okay, so moving on. Fourth task, and this is happening a lot with the word writing group that meets, a month. We're getting people in the group that are offering to beta read, which is huge. When I say get somebody to beta read, please do not ask your partner, your neighbor, unless your neighbor's like really good in terms of being blunt and supportive, but also critical. You do not need, like my mom, I mean, God love her, waste of time. Because she loves everything. You don't want somebody to tell you that they loved your book. You really are looking for people who are going to help you. And oftentimes it's going to be kind of an acquaintance / stranger. So even though in the word writing group, we're getting to know each other, the beta readers are helping. However, I will say this, we are doing, starting July 10th, we're doing what's called first page read. And because it's super critical, when you're first starting out, I get it, I've been there. It is really, really hard. And it is a super critical time in a writer's journey that you do not want to hear really honest feedback right away, because it could stop you from ever moving forward. And that is a really tough place to be. And I don't want our group to be part of that. So we're doing what's called TIDE. It's strength-based feedback, where because it's only the first page, but we're going to be commenting on stuff that we're seeing, whether it's emotions, details, themes. It's just hard to find at first page, but emotions, details, what you're noticing, and so it's strengths-based. So that's helpful, but do eventually find a beta reader. I eventually found a beta reader. We have the same agent. We've never met, and she's beta read all 6 of my books. We talk on the phone, not too often, but enough. She is one of the most blunt, most honest people, and you need that. I mean, the comment bubbles were like, this part was so boring. And you need to hear that. And you know what else? You need to start getting used to hearing that. Okay, start getting a thick skin. Some of you look like you've got some thick skins already. We've been through some things in life, right? We've developed a thick skin, some of us more than others. But just get ready, because when you're putting your book out for somebody to read, you feel like it's very precious. And you can't be precious about it. They're only giving you this feedback because they want to improve you. And that's why I think it's really important to have somebody who at least is writing to review your stuff, because at least you can take them more credibly. Even better is when you hire someone, and I don't know if that's not family and friends, find people in book club, members, word writing groups. Oh yeah, I shouted out my own group. Okay. Because what happens is when you hire, I have it here at the bottom. So this is a option. I did this, but you can hire an editor. We actually have one lady in our group who is a local editor. She's on Instagram, English with Caitlin. She's a CAITLYAN, English with Caitlin. She isn't able to come to every meeting, but for a fee, I can't remember her rate. But you can also Google editors. Just be real careful. There's some weird folks out there, scamming. So what I do is, are any of you familiar with Writer's Digest? It's an awesome resource. There's lots of resources out there. Some of the folks came out of Writer's Digest, and they now do a thing called Writing Day Workshops, WDW. So they lead a workshop every year in Birmingham, which a bunch of the word writing group members drove down to go check out. It's a one-day event. It was a fee. There were also agents there to pitch. So a lot of them went there to either practice, and some of them did pitch their manuscripts, and some of them got requests to read the full manuscript, and some of them are waiting to hear the feedback. And guess what? Some of them have already heard the feedback, and it was a no. And there were a couple of no's. But there are plenty more agents out there. There are thousands of agents out there. So I think it's just important to be aware. So look up Writers Day Workshop, get subscribed to their newsletter to find out what else they have going on next time they're in the state or even in Tennessee, Atlanta, driving distance. But through their services and through Writer's Digest, you can hire a vetted editor. So this is somebody who at least like knows what they're doing, has been vetted. It's okay to pay them money, but just know it gets expensive because a lot of them charge by the page. So what I did, and I told the work group this before, I paid them to just edit my first 50 pages. Because I figured, that first page especially is really critical. But first 50, if an agent was to request a partial, some of them only request the first chapter, that's at least in the 50-page ballpark. And I could afford that. Some of you, if you have a little more resources, go ahead and ask them to edit your full thing. It could be super helpful because it also gets you in the process of getting that thick skin. They're going to come back with some feedback and you're going to be like, ouch. And you might have to even close the laptop and walk away. And it is a muscle that you're going to learn because eventually when you get editor, they're going to do it to you even more. And then the future editors. Yes, sir.
I'm in the process of editing my novella. I have no idea. I've got a great person, great credentials. Have no idea how much to pay her. Any idea?
Wait, so this is an editor that's doing this as a business?
No, she's got the credentials, but she's doing it as a friend.
Oh, and she wants to get paid.
No, she doesn't, but I'm going to pay her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know how that would work. I would look up comparable rates for other. Has anybody paid? I don't know what the rates are because it's been like 10. Yes.
I paid.
How much did you pay for how many pages?
It was not pages. They did it by words. It was 60,000 words, and all in all, it's probably about 10 grand.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I don't know what I used when I put 50 grand into my book.
Wow.
How do you find this editor?
Through Author Academy Elite. It was a random thing on Facebook. I
Yeah.
got in there. It was a program that paid for the program. They put me through people to get my cover to.
Oh, so it was a full package under this.
They broke it up, like the editor was separate. It was a Pen and Pine for Brad Fruhoff, which I really liked it because I wrote the book, probably 120,000 words. He cut it down to 60,000 words. But the best way I could describe it is like when I handed him my manuscript, it was Fredo Corleone. When he handed it back to me, it was Michael Corleone.
Amazing.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I've been paid to edit and I did it also for a friend though. And when I did it for my friend, I wish she would have given me at least $500, but she gave me $350. And, it was fine because, and she got
Was that for the whole manuscript?
It was, but it wasn't huge. Like, she was doing some kind of like, they were chapters and it was like, that's the Book of Saints and it was published,
Okay.
but it was like, the hardship these people faced and then what they did, and then a prayer that she made up or what have you. And, I had established a writing group. She was in my writing group. We became friends. So I did that for her. I wanted to do it as a friend. But, I did need to feel like I did want to get some compensation because I do write and edit, and so, but 350 is what she gave me. It was fine. 500 would have felt a little better and it wasn't that big a novel.
Yeah, I would say if it's a manuscript between 60,000, 80,000 words, that's a sizable effort that you're asking this person to do. So I would say close to 500 is a reasonable rate. I'm trying to think. I think for my 50 pages, I paid about $550, $600. Don't quote me on that. This was also back in 2017. So it's been a minute, and they weren't charging by word count, but I think that's what I'm hearing more is word count.
You said she has the credentials and she's done it before, so maybe she's charging for it. You just asked her what she charged.
Yeah, I'm curious as to why she's not giving you a rate.
I had 3 books. I've done 3 books, and I had my editor edit it, and she had the credentials. I just took it to dinner. Of course, I'm married to her.
Oh, that's why y'all both drove in from Montgomery.
I got it on the cheese.
Or if you want to pay $350 plus dinner, or give them a gift card to dinner. Maybe they don't want to go to dinner with you. They just want to dinner. I don't know. But
I don't know.
be real careful, y'all, because it can get expensive. So just know what your financial abilities are.
I would say be really careful too, as somebody who's been in it, because when I was an APA editor, so it's not the same. Like I did it by page count or how long it took me. So I
Okay,
had like a
as a
$10
lawyer.
at least an hour, you know, kind of a thing.
Yeah, agree. What
But,
we're all hearing is no matter what you choose, go ahead and have it agreed upon.
in writing,
Yes,
in writing.
even if it's an email in writing.
You can even offer to like, what I would do with people is I would say, send me some and let me see how long it's gonna take. Because some people are such good writers, it doesn't take a lot of time. Some people, you cannot rewrite it for them, but you just feel like you're making a lot of annotations, you know? And the other thing is you really gotta watch right now is because of generative AI. You could pay somebody money and they're just plugging it to ChatGPT to spit it out. So just be really picky in choosing your editor is what I would say, because people are doing that.
Yeah, and that's why I went
You're
through
paying
Writer's
them to plug
Digest,
it
because
to
it was a vetted person, you know, if they've gotten any complaint, they're gonna get kicked out of the system. So just be careful. Another option, and I don't, if any of y'all, Kelly, I can't remember if y'all went to WD, did you go to WDW in Birmingham? Who went out of this group? No, okay. Some of the conferences, so I had this, and I finally got to meet her in New York last week, which was super cool. So some of these conferences, the one in Chicago, which was a Writer's Digest conference, it's where I met my agent because I pitched face to face. And like I said in the beginning, I feel my strength is person to person. So I was able to pitch her live and then she signed me. But also through the conference, there were different packages you could buy. And so once you bought the registration for the conference, I think it was only $50 to get linked up with an author who had agreed to receive your first, I think she only did my first 10 pages. And she wrote me her feedback. And then at the conference, we got to sit down together for a 30-minute session. That was huge for $50. But remember, I had to pay to fly to Chicago. I had to get a hotel room. So there are going to be sunk costs. Just be really careful of what you are paying for and what your budget can allow. It ended up being worthwhile for me because I met my agent. And then I was able to meet Lori at the conference last week and be like, you were one of the first people. She's like, God, I hope I said good things. You know, she didn't even remember me. So she had done so many. Okay, so we're going through, beta readers. Okay, so here's the thing that I fear. This is the marketing bit. This is the part that I fear that authors will skirt and they'll start building up the marketing bit because it's more fun. But it can also be a huge distraction from writing the book. Because again, what's the point of setting up an author presence and doing the marketing if you don't even have something to try to sell? But I want you to be aware of these steps and be thinking about it. And notice at the top of the slide, I say, meanwhile. So like, meanwhile. I only have 10 minutes? No way. Okay, I gotta fly. Okay, so set up, which works, because I don't want y'all to spend too much time on this anyway. But some of you are already doing this. Go ahead. Especially if you're getting like through the editing stage and you're really thinking, I'm gonna start pitching. Because once you start pitching to an agent, they will probably look you up. So it'd be good to at least have something to show that they can find Instagram. And Instagram is probably my favorite for being an author. Facebook, TikTok, okay. Substack is starting to grow. Just check those out. At a minimum, I would say have an Instagram account at least. If you don't have a book ready to go, be posting pictures of you and what you're reading, or just pictures of books you're reading. Anything book-related content or status update. It's like you bashing your head against the keyboard. Like you can show that kind of stuff. I'm here at the Athens Writing Summer Summit. Selfie. Okay, that kind of stuff works. Author website, this is optional. Some agents will look at your website, and then when you do sign an agent, when you get to the editor, I would say try to have a website available for them to check you out. Wix, WordPress, those are free. There's tons more I'm probably missing. I use Squarespace, and then of course there's the ones that charge money. So just again, be mindful of what you have. You can even just have the one page, like my picture. This is what I'm working on, the genre, how to contact me. This is also optional newsletter. I know authors, you get super distracted. I'm going to use that word a ton. Super distracted. You're nodding your head.
I'm a newsletter person.
Okay, you send out a newsletter?
Oh, yeah, I
Okay.
love newsletters. Substack, I like that you had Substack and also Blue Sky. They are like,
Okay, just be
Yeah.
careful. But you're writing more than you're working on the newsletter, correct?
the way I do it, because I'm not writing a book, I'm more of a writer. So
Okay,
it's-
got it.
But I still like what you're,
I
saying.
see what you're saying.
So a newsletter and posts and stuff, That's what I more so do, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah. Yep. Perfect. Just be, understand, once you sign that book contract, you can be sending newsletters, because that's the best way for you to say, I've got a book coming, and start building that email list. Writing conferences, that's part of the marketing, like today, tomorrow, this is a great way to network. The AW workshop in Birmingham, the conferences, all of those are gonna have dollar signs. Publishing the manuscript, there's different paths to consider: traditional publishing, self, you can just post on a blog. Poetry, I see people posting on Instagram and they've got book deals out of it for their poetry, or you just write for yourself and your family. There's different ways and paths to publish. If you want to go trad, these are the big five. I'm sure you know their names, but these are the big five that everybody's trying to get to. And within them, they all have their own imprint. There's also Amazon Publishing. There's tons of smaller publishing houses. At the bottom, I listed Bookouture and Camcat books. I'm sure there are plenty more, but these publishers do not require an agent. You can literally submit your manuscript online. So if y'all have gotten to that point and you've edited it, maybe you can pay for somebody to edit it, it's been through a bunch of revisions, you can consider submitting to them. You don't need to have an agent. If you go through the trad publishing, you do need an agent to submit. I mean, that's just how it works. Get ready to be patient. Long wait times for those folks who've been pitching in our writing group. They're still waiting to hear back from some of these agents. Once the agent has even pitched the book and then the MS has been bought, manuscript is bought by an editor, it can still take 12 to 18 months for them to pick a publishing date for you. So again, practice that patience, because remember, by the time they bought your book, they bought a bunch of other books. So you're just on the queue line of when you can get published. You won't sell a book and have it come out later that year, is my point. Okay. With trad publishing, I'm sure you know this, they pay you in advance. The advances have got smaller, but they're anywhere from 10 to 25K to 100K to 300K. And they will pay you in installments. It's not all one go. You'll get it with your signing. You get a chunk when the book comes out. You'll get a chunk, or you'll get it with signing. You'll get it when your edits are turned in, and you'll get the last chunk when your book comes out. And then you start earning royalties so if say they pay you $100,000 advance, you have to sell $100,000 worth of books. That could take you 3 years. And then once you sold that 100,000 mark, the publisher will then start paying you royalties. That's called earning out your advance. I only get paid 3 times a year. So just for budgeting reasons, also get prepared for that. This is why I need a longer workshop. I have so much to tell. Okay. So much to tell people. The publisher, trad publishing, they will pay for your editing, your formatting, all that stuff, and some marketing, just some. If you go self-pub, y'all know about Kindle Direct with Amazon. Ingram Spark is luckily up the road in Nashville. They will self-publish. They print on demand. So if you sell a book, they print it. It's pretty easy. There's not a huge inventory. You do not need an agent to self-publish, which is huge. However, the author can say that they're getting all the money, but you have to be a business person and you have to realize that you have sunk costs, because you have now paid somebody to do your formatting, cover design. Unless you know how to do that, Canva has made it quite easy. Midjourney can create images, but just know that those are sunk costs and also your time is money. Just know that. So trad publisher will do it all for you and some of the marketing, but you're still expected to do a lot of the others. You're doing all of it because it's self-publishing. Just keep that in mind. But there are people who are making great money with self. When I see my cut go to my agent and then my cut go to the publisher and then I get that money 3 times a year, I'm like, oh, so it can be interesting, especially coming from my corporate job. Other publishing we talked about where you can post it. It does not have to be published in the traditional sense. There are many, many ways to be a published author. Pitching to agents. Lord, I'm running out of research agents. I doubt who is currently receiving submissions. Some of them on their websites will say they're closed. Do not email them. Like, read what they say, read what genres they're accepting. And if what they're accepting is the first 50 pages. Query letter, yeah, I could do a whole workshop on the dang query letter. But this is just, y'all more than welcome to take pictures of the screen. This is just basically, it's changed over time, but Essentially, it's 3 paragraphs. It's called a query letter. It's really just an email that you're cold emailing an agent. Hello, I'm Georgina Cross. I write suspense. My current manuscript is about 90-something thousand words. And then the next paragraph is description of the book. No spoilers. You're just giving like a hook, like a teaser, a promotional insight of the book. You're not telling them the full synopsis and then what happened. They want to read it. You want to get them interested. Third paragraph could be more of the same, or your bio if it's applicable. Like I wrote that I was a mass comm and I was a journalist, blah, blah, blah. You can hire an editor. I had somebody review my query letter, which is so ridiculous, but I did hire someone because that is like the first gate. You can get completely kicked to the slush pile through an email. They don't know you from Adam, but just from an email with those 3 paragraphs, they can decide if they're interested or not. So I thought it was worth it. Again, I went through Writer's Digest where they have people you can pay to literally just review 3 paragraphs of an email. It was helpful. Then if you want to do the actual live pitching with an agent, decide what your strong suit. Some of you might be better at live pitching. You're going to practice this in the word group. We've done this a couple times where people have said their stuff out loud to figure out what their pitch is. Go to these conferences and memorize the hell out of it. Don't sound robotic. Memorize it, sell it, because you're selling yourself. These agents are trying to see if they want to work with you, as much as you're also trying to see, is this an agent I can work with? We talked about pitching agents. So yeah, cold emails. What I do is I have a spreadsheet when I start pitching agents. So it's like 10 agents at a time, which can sound really like daunting. And I've had people in the word group be like, all 10 of them said no. Okay, that's fine. Move on to the next 10. So batch them. And in your spreadsheet track, this is when I submitted. This is the date. It's been 3 months. It's okay to ping them. It's okay to remind them, be like, hello, they're humans too. They get lost and assistant literally because you're looking at their inbox. It's okay to ping them. I put the ping date and then I put the notes because it's just as important to learn what they said about your manuscript and why they're passing, just as much as it is of when they say, yes, they're taking it. I'm going to do a longer workshop because this is, okay. The waiting game, while you're waiting, you don't just sit there because it's painful. Keep writing on, work on your project, keep reading, start plotting the next project, start outlining. Because guess what? If you sell that book, they might offer you a 2-book deal. And now you have to come up with a new book. So always be working on something because you're always practicing. And yeah, okay, you got an agent. Yay! Do not pay an agent anything up front. Okay, they act like a realtor. To make sure, if an agent says to you, which I doubt if you met them through a conference, but if it's through an email, cold email, and you found them online somewhere, if they ask you for money up front, they act like a realtor. They only make money when they sell your book. They are just as incentivized to sell your book. Review the contract thoroughly before you sign with the agent. Check your exit clause. I left my agent last year. I signed with a new agent, so I really had to check my exit clause. Save a copy, take a picture, celebrate. That's super important. I want y'all to, that's a huge coup to sign with an agent. Your agent's going to submit your manuscript. I mean, we'll fly through these. It could take sometimes 2 to 4 months, up to 6 months to hear back. Yay, you sold the book. Like, this is huge. Again, we can't get to this slide until we finish that first slide. So, but I want you to be like, this is the prize, is selling that book. These are the expectations. I'll fly through these. I did not know. Yes.
Can you send these out to us?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have to keep it. Well, they're recording it, so I'd assume that they're playing it.
Yeah, it is being
Yeah,
recorded.
but the slides would be great.
Since you're flying through them, we can take that.
Yeah.
Well,
They give you
I
a
can
sign
also
up
ask
sheet
it
up
if you
there.
posted, or would you mind if it was posted online? Okay.
I don't, well, wait, yeah.
You don't want it posted on.
Yeah, I don't want to do, because I
People
want to,
take your stuff.
I eventually want to start doing these workshops and
Yeah.
like literally I'm probably
Email.
gonna do a 3-hour workshop. Yeah, okay, let me think about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, think about how it would be, like, email everybody who's at the workshop.
Okay.
So what's the answer to the question? I'm confused.
Think about it. You need to talk to Tim. I know at a minimum they're recording it, so you'll be able to word
that you could leave your email and they could email it.
Yeah.
If we
That might be
email
better.
you,
And I do have my email at the end.
you would know if
Yeah.
we're, you would know who's getting it.
Yeah, I mean,
That gives you more control over it.
yeah, here's my contact info. I'm not gonna go through those black slides just because I'd be like speed reading them and y'all are gonna be like, be taking pictures. Yeah,
Yeah.
so, yeah, I will, would y'all be interested if I gave a longer?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Because I
Yeah.
barely touched on, again, I want to be careful. There's that line of getting bogged down with too much information, but I also don't want people to go in unprepared. Like I don't know about you, Sarah, I was very unprepared when the editor got the book. And then that editorial letter first came in and the process of getting it edited, I had no damn clue. There's like 7 other people, at least, before the book comes out. And I want y'all to be aware of that because, just to be aware. Yes.
I don't even know how to describe my book. That's like when people ask me about the book I'm writing, I don't know how to even describe the book I'm writing. How do you find, because it's like a little biographical, but there's, it's not just, oh, this is my life. It's like, these things happen and these are the impacts that it can,
Yeah, you're gonna have to practice. It's something we do in the word group is we've practiced it out loud. We've actually had people talk for like 5 full minutes about what their book is about. Had questions asked, and then from those questions, they were able to be like, oh, pay attention more about this. You're gonna have to practice this out loud. Let's write it. I still ask somebody, a couple of people, come to our word group. We do it probably every week. What is it?
I don't know anything about your words.
Oh, email me, put you on the list. We meet every month.
Yes. Mary.
I hate this
Yeah,
season.
just Mary Lynn.
Hey,
Oh,
if you
okay.
have questions, definitely hang around, but in case something starts like, there's all challenge. Yeah, close this out. Thank you so much for being here. I think very good. These people like have an hour and a half, 2 hours, really, don't they? But just to let you know, yes, ma'am, and it's right there. Thank you for asking. Where we're going next is lunch. So lunch is over in Standard Student Center. If you got that map on page 5, you are currently in building 7. And you were going to building 4, all right? The library would be building 6. I know it's got a key over there, I always get off looking around. But you'll be going to building 4, and as soon as you go in it, like if you follow this little walkway over to it, you'll see a vendor's fair. And then it's to your left in what's called the ballroom. So you'll see it, but first you'll see a bunch of vendors. My mom was there, y'all can buy stuff. You get, but yeah, well, you'll go in there and they're gonna have some authors. I think you're gonna be there.
Yeah, Sarah,
Author
I'm
there.
there.
Okay, yeah, and I'll be here. No, we-
Yeah, and I'll hang out. Y'all, if they want to talk, I really like it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are you the author of all your best selves?
Yes.
Like,
Oh, wow.
I think I